Welcome to the NZ Travel Show, an interactive show where you can ask your NZ travel questions to the experts behind nzpocketguide.com, New Zealand's largest travel guide. The NZ Travel Show will start in exactly 2 minutes. Just the time for you to hit the like button, ring the notification bell, and subscribe if you have not done so yet. nzpocketguide.com has over 3,000 articles covering all aspects of travelling in New Zealand, from a working holiday gap year to tips for a perfect family holiday. The site also features dozens of pre-made itineraries that you can use to plan your ideal trip in New Zealand. It's all available for free at NZ Pocket Guide, so check it out. The NZ Travel Show is hosted by Robin, the Operations Manager of South Pacific Pocket Guide, the company behind nzpocketguide.com. The New Zealand Travel Show is also hosted by Laura, a journalist and editor-in-chief of South Pacific Pocket Guide and all its publications, including nzpocketguide.com. We're exactly 1 minute away from the NZ Travel Show. Get yourself comfortable and start asking your NZ travel questions in the chat. Robin and Laura will go over them when the show starts. In 30 seconds, our experts will be live from New Zealand to give you all the practical New Zealand travel tips you need, from the best transport options to the best accommodations and activities to choose for the perfect New Zealand holiday. Live from New Zealand, this is the NZ Travel Show with your travel experts, Robin and Laura.
Zealand, aren't they?
Also, there was no microphone for all of that. We were all pumped and happy, and there was no mic. Fantastic. Anyway, hey everybody, how are you guys doing? I was saying that I'm way too excited today, way too pumped, because we just suffered through daylight savings, and daylight savings kind of basically gave us too much energy, because I was awake at 9 a.m. Sorry, at 3 a.m.
Yeah.
And for me right now, it's like lunchtime in my mind. Anyway, it is 8 a.m. on the 2nd of April, 2023, right here in New Zealand. What was Nathan saying, Laura?
Nathan was saying Morena, Robin, and Laura, and everyone who is joining today. What does Morena mean, Robin?
Morena means good morning, Maori, which is a local
Good
edition.
morning, Maori.
Good morning in Maori. Sorry, I'm speaking too fast. I'm too excited. Relax, Robin, relax. All right. Then we also have Violet Zulu from South Africa. That has been a while.
It has been a while, and she says, "Hi
I've heard that one
guys,
before.
hi guys. Hope you are all doing great. We are doing pretty epic despite our microphone mix-up this morning. But
Yes.
we are having a good time. It feels like it's much later in the day for us, compared to normal when we do our Sunday sessions because of the daylight savings change and all that. So yeah, we feel
You're having like midday Robin energy
Robin.
levels, right? Midday Robin. So, we're in for a ride, people. Hang on. It's going to be epic. So we also have Kiwi Lauren saying that she's at 91 days before a trip, which is pretty epic.
Counting down fast.
And we have the wonderful Sherry as well, all the way in Australia, which is pretty happy to have an extra hour's sleep. So that's pretty good.
Nice.
Lawrence is here from beautiful Boston saying that the audio is not working, and Adil, which wasn't here last week, but we talked about him.
We
remembered about you, Adil, so we talked about you last week, which are here. So yeah, that's pretty awesome to have you all on board today. Always good to start with a good 2 minutes of high energy talk with no audio. I mean, I feel like this is the way to start your day.
That was not a waste.
No, not a waste at all. I enjoy that. That's good. Okay, so all over the place today, all over the place. That's all I'm going to say. Today, we are going to treat you with a lovely theme. All right, Laura, what is the theme?
The theme this week is get your grammar right first. The theme is 30 things to do in New Zealand for under $30, because yes, not everything in New Zealand is a $500 skydive. There are things that you can do for, a pretty affordable price.
Exactly. So if you are planning on traveling in New Zealand a bit on a budget, we've got you sorted, right? As Laura was saying, a lot of the main activities that people want to do in New Zealand are several $100s, and they're worth doing. They're worth the price.
They're
like
pretty
a lot
big
of them,
activities.
Yeah, a lot of them are really worth doing. But that also means that if you want to travel without breaking the bank, you also have to slot quite a few cheap activities to do. So today we are not going to talk about any free activities, right? Free activities, we're probably going to do another videos where we're going to rank our favorites free activities to do on the North Island or the South Island, something like that. Today we're going to talk about activities which are paid for, but that are under $30 to keep you on budget.
Yeah,
here you go.
Absolutely.
Okay, Nathan says,
I will be watching the next travel show from Australia.
Ooh, that's going to require you to do some math to find the right time. That's awesome. How long are you going to be spending in Australia, Nathan? That's pretty cool.
Kiwi Lauren says, that's a fun theme. I love me a good deal. We do too. And then Cherie says, oh, that's cool, Nathan. Where are you going? Yeah, everyone's so intrigued. Where are you going in Australia?
Speaking of going to fun places and having some fun times, I usually keep I keep Armand for the end of the live show, but I think we're going to get started with Armand now.
Yeah.
So Armand is a French backpacker that's traveling around New Zealand on a gap year. And this week, he's doing a lot. He's going from Taupo all the way down to Franz Joseph and doing activities all along. So that is an action-packed video. Let's watch it together.
Absolutely.
Kia ora guys, this is Armand giving you guys a summary of my 25th week of working holiday in New Zealand. So this week has been particularly busy for me as I took the Kiwi Experience bus from Rotoea to Taupo on Monday. In Taupo I did the sailing adventure, which was really fun. I think it was actually one of the best things I have done so far, especially for the money. It was only 95 New Zealand dollars and we had such a blast. Everybody was cheerful, the drinks, the music, I really loved it and I highly recommend this. Then from there, unfortunately we couldn't do the Tongariro crossing as it was cancelled due to poor weather conditions. So hopefully I'll do that on my way up from the South Island to Auckland. Then we did go to Wellington, where I met my first Airbnb host there and now my friend Farahman. I'm really grateful for having met this guy. He's such an amazing person and he invited me for dinner and we really had a great time. I'm really grateful for having local friends now in Auckland and Wellington. Yeah, then we went to the Inter-Island terminal, and actually there was a massive delay due to a substance leak in the wharf in Picton. So the ferry departed 7 hours later than initially planned. So we got to Abel Tasman like super late. It was at like 11 p.m. So unfortunately I didn't get to explore Abel Tasman very much, but I did do the kayaking there, and that was really good. The water was quite calm, and it was really pleasant. We even saw some native birds there, and yeah, that was really a fun activity. I also recommend this one. What else? Then we went to Westport. I think that the hostel in Westport at which we stayed is one of the best I've stayed at thus far in New Zealand. We just stayed at Westport for the night, so nothing very important to mention there activity-wise. But then we went to Franz Josef, which is where I am right now, and unfortunately the heli hike which we were supposed to do was cancelled due to poor weather conditions, which is really a bummer because most of the Kiwi Experience bus, including myself, were really looking forward to doing it, but yeah, just apparently there were some clouds which prevented the helicopter from being able to land, and that kind of visibility issue. So I'm hoping to come back here later during the year and to do those activities which I couldn't do the first time around. And it's not just the heli hike. There's a bunch of things which I couldn't do during my first trip, like the whitewater rafting, the Cathedral Cove kayaking, and others. But still, I did go to a very nice hike with my friends, and that was really cool. At least we took the opportunity to explore, get as close as we could to the glacier, and I took some nice shots. I also took some nice night sky photos of the sky of Franz Josef. I'm pretty sure I will be getting even more impressive pictures in Lake Tekapo, provided that there are no clouds, of course. Hopefully, fingers crossed, we don't have an overcast sky when we go to Lake Tekapo, because we're also staying just one night there. Tomorrow we'll be heading to Queenstown for I think 3 nights, and there I will be doing the Nevis bungee and the bars and stuff, so I will keep you guys posted on that. Until next week, guys, cheers!
Okay, so let's be honest, none of the activities that Armand did was under $30, so that doesn't really match the theme of this week, but hey, he had a pretty awesome time.
Yeah, and that just goes to show like how changeable the weather is at this time of year. Like we did our full weather episode last week, and during the daytime he has like all his activities cancelled, but at night it's clear enough to do amazing stargazing photos and stuff. It's just like it's all over the place. So yeah, be prepared for anything when you're coming to New Zealand.
Yeah, Kiwi Lawrence saying that the photos of Armand are absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, and did you see the one that he posted on Facebook as well? So we have so Kiwi Lawrence is one of our Patreon, and so we have a Patreon exclusive Facebook group where we all hang out together, and you know, we share travel tips and all these kind of things. And so Armand was posting some photos of that he took on the Facebook group, and there's some really gorgeous one, which is quite amazing indeed.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so let's get started with the first batch of things to do under $30 for this video, and yeah, we're gonna pass you on to the beautiful Laura for the first one.
All right, so our first activity that you can usually do for under $30 is to have a kiwi bird encounter. So there are various sort of kiwi hatcheries and attractions around New Zealand where they are basically, the main focus of what they do is that they hatch kiwi bird eggs that have been taken from the wild, raise the chicks until they're strong enough to be re-released into the wild, so they can hopefully stand a better chance of you know, surviving in the wild. So yeah, there's various different places where you can see this happening. For instance, there's Kiwi North and the Whangarei Native Bird Recovery Centre, which is fairly cheap. And then there's the West Coast Wildlife Centre in Franz Josef, which is definitely worth a visit.
All right, so the next activity you can be doing under $30 in New Zealand, even sometimes free, is to actually visit some wineries, especially in the Marlborough region. So the Marlborough region is located pretty much on the top of the South Island of New Zealand, and it's New Zealand's largest wine region. It's really famous for its Sauvignon Blanc, so if you're really into this type of wine, you're definitely going to find some nice fruity beverages over there. You can literally appoint a designated driver, drive yourself around all the different wineries, and when you enter wineries, they will either give you like free very small samples that you can sample a few of their wines with the hope that you'll buy a few bottles, or sometimes you have like a taster of like 5 or 6 different wine for let's say about $10, something like that. So it's relatively cheap to go around wineries and taste some awesome wines. Just be aware that when you're like the 5th or 6th different winery, you're probably going to start spending money on actually buying the bottles of wine yourself and buying some way too heavy to carry souvenirs to bring back home.
All right, next up on our list is to wander among hot springs and geysers at a geothermal park. So many of the geothermal parks that you'll find around New Zealand are actually under $30. So for instance, there's the Waimangu Volcanic Valley, which is outside of Rotoea, which is more on the higher end of the scale of prices, but it's still under $30, and you can spend a whole day there with the amount of stuff that you can see there. But if you want to go super cheap, there are some really cheap geothermal parks like Craters of the Moon in Taupo, which is one of the cheapest in the country. I think it's still under $10, so yeah, there's that option as well.
All right, so if you make it all the way to the south of the South Island, all the way to the bottom of the South Island, and then you make it all the way to Stuart Island, which is the island at the south of the South Island of New Zealand, the island is amazing. It's mostly a national park. There is heaps of amazing wildlife, but a lot of people only go there for about a day. Now, when you are in Auckland, which is the town which is in Stuart Island, you can take a ferry to a small island called Ulva Island. It's just about a minute of the shore. It's really short distance of the shore of the South Island of New Zealand, and the ferry itself to get there is only under $20, right? And it's really awesome. It's return, and the island itself is really awesome. You'll be able to walk literally in what New Zealand looked like 800 years ago. It's absolutely phenomenal. There is heaps of birds there. And so yeah, to make your way down to Stuart Island, you can take the Real NZ ferry that will take you from Bluff all the way to Auckland in Stuart Island. All right, moving on to the next one.
Okay, another nice, cheap and affordable activity you can do in New Zealand is soak in some hot pools. So there's plenty of hot pools all around the country that are under $30, thank goodness, because that would otherwise be quite expensive. And for instance, you have Taupo de Bretts, which is in the town of Taupo, and that is under $30, as well as Waikiki Valley, which is between Rotorua and Taupo. That's one of our favourite ones, and we do have a video on the channel of us visiting it. And that is also under $30. And for a quick mention for the South Island, Lake Tekapo Hot Springs is another good one.
All right, so now I clicked on the other one. Boom.
Continuing on.
Yeah, continuing. Anthony's here and he says, Morena, how are you doing, Anthony? We're glad to have you on board. Okay, Laura, out of those 5 ones, which one would you pick? Which one's your favorite?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I think going to see kiwi birds is pretty iconic. It's pretty cute, amazing. Yeah? So I would definitely want to put that on my bucket list. But also even the hot pools, like the geothermal activity, going around a geothermal park. Oh, am I just listing all of the ones we just said? Geothermal park, let's go for that. Kiwi birds, geothermal park is my top 2.
So you're not picking Ulva Island, which you regularly mention as your favorite thing to do in New Zealand. Wow, I am shocked, guys. Consider me shocked.
Well, times are changing.
Wow.
And apparently I don't care about the Ulva Island birds anymore. Yeah, I don't know. That was just not the first one that came to my head today. But people, every time people ask us, what's your favorite thing to do? What's your favorite thing to do? I feel like it changes depending on my mood on the day.
So what is today's your favorite thing to do in the whole of New Zealand? If it's not Ulva Island, since, you brushed it off your mind, it's gone now.
I definitely feel like I'm in the mood for hiking. So I think And I just saw Armand's video of hiking in Franz Josef. So doing the hike to the Franz Josef Glacier terminal face would be a good one.
So Laura's favorite thing to do is basically the latest thing she said. Show Laura a video of anything that becomes her favorite thing to do for that
I
week.
love doing that, yeah. What about yours? What was your favorite thing?
So out of the three ones that we saw, I think Ulva Island is like
Top
I think it's definitely on top, right? And then it's not even close for like any of the other four ones.
Yeah.
And then after that, I think I will rank the Kiwi birds. After that, I'm really into wildlife. But yeah, when I was just talking about Ulva Island, I was just kind of seeing myself there. I was like, yeah, that's a really cool place. I want to go on a hike over there yet again and just do all that.
It was amazing. Yeah. Like considering it's like all the it's not an enclosure. It's not it is a sanctuary in the fact that it's an island and the water is protecting the island.
Yeah.
But yeah, just the fact that you can see birds in the wild just everywhere you look is a really amazing experience. It feels like you have gone back in time to a world where humans haven't taken over the planet.
All right. Some behind the scene here. Behind the scene or behind the scenes?
With an S.
Okay, some behind the scenes here. Just a quick thing while you guys coming up with some questions. Okay, so there's only 3 people watching. What's going on with that? Is the connection really, really bad? Because we actually changed the internet provider in order to actually provide you with a smoother live stream. So technically our streaming should be 5 times faster this week. What is going on? Is it like terrible quality or not? We'd love to hear actually if the quality is better than the usual or not. I know we had a couple of hiccups in like the editing this morning. Our producer, myself, did an awful job. Okay, so I may have to fire our producers, but yeah, just wanted to know if that is so. This very fast internet is actually not cheap in New Zealand. It actually costs quite a lot of money, and that is sponsored by our lovely Patreon subscribers. So yeah, thank you to them. But yeah, we'd love to hear if the quality is actually awesome or not.
Kiwi, Lauren and Sherry both say that the quality is fine. Quality is great.
Actually, something quite interesting, with that new fast internet, I actually there was an issue with my SSDR hard drive. The way I plugged it on my computer, I actually made the whole computer bug because I was uploading the video way too fast on YouTube yesterday. I did a video editing.
It's like our computers don't know how to handle good internet here.
I know. It was kind of like, mate, that's way too fast. So yeah, I need to remember to fix that, sort that out. So yeah, pretty cool stuff. And also Armand, another behind the scene. Armand and I recorded a bit of a video together this week, and we're going to be talking about traveling with HopOn, HopOff buses. That is, we're basically celebrating this week is 6th month in New Zealand. It's
halfway through his gap year.
Yeah. What we just watched was week 25. So obviously what we watch next week is going to be week 26. And so for this reason, we decided to record his take on traveling with Kiwi experience. And so we'll have this discussion with Armand to show you guys. It's more than half an hour. We went kind of in depth in there, and so we'll have that for you guys coming up this week. So that's gonna be quite cool. Or next week. It's nothing's coming up this week. It's Sunday. I'm crazy. Sherry says that's why it's like in the southern hemisphere. The internet is just slow. Yeah, it is. But now we have better internet. It's just is it working for you guys? Is the quality better? We just really hope to be able to provide you with better quality at some point. And so yeah. Hopefully we'll make that work. Okay. While you guys are popping up with some questions about traveling in New Zealand, go nuts. We will do another batch of 5 awesome things to do in New Zealand under $30. And shall we start with the beautiful Laura?
Yeah, let's do it. All right, first up, another wildlife-related activity for you for under $30, and it's located in the city centre of Wellington, and that is Zealandia. So this is a bird sanctuary where they have a predator-proof fence around the perimeter of it, but it's pretty big. It's a pretty big park with lots of walking trails and some really nice smooth walking trails as well. So it's wheelchair accessible. You can take a stroller if you're with a family, etc., etc. So yeah, really easy to access. They even do free buses from the iSite to Zealandia from Wellington. So yeah, you can go and check out lots of crazy looking native birds from New Zealand, and yes, they are crazy looking. Those big blue takahe, they're so weird but so cool. So yeah, you can go check them out at Zealandia.
All right, thank you, Laura. There's a lot of very self-conscious birds now somewhere in New Zealand. She's like, am I really looking weird? I should use more filters on Instagram. Okay, so the next thing that I have for you guys, which is under $30, is actually eating a classic Kiwi pie. So in New Zealand, savory pies, which are about that big, are quite, quite a cultural icon in the country. And, you can find that in any of the truck shop, in any of the gas stations. It's really kind of a snack that when you're on the road in New Zealand, you kind of have one of those. Obviously, you can have some like really exceptional one, and you can have some really meh one, but at least all of them are going to cost under $30. There may be like a fancy one somewhere that costs more than that, but that'd be insane. Some of our favorite bakeries include on the South Island, the Fairlie Bakery. If you're traveling around the beautiful area, Mount Cook, Tekapo, all the way down to Queenstown, there is the Fairlie Bakery around there. And if you are making your way between Taupo down to the beautiful National Park on the North Island of New Zealand, stop by the Turangi Bakery. Both of those bakeries offer amazingly good pies, and both of them are award-winning, which is quite cool. Next up on our list, Laura.
Okay, another thing that you can do in New Zealand is a brewery tour. So these are usually very affordable to do, under $30 obviously for this list. And across New Zealand, it's said that there's about 160 at least microbreweries in New Zealand. It's really a huge hobby here. And some of the famous brewery tours that you can do for a very affordable price is the Monteith's Brewery Tour, located in Greymouth on the South Island, as well as the Spates Brewery Tour, which you can find in Dunedin, also on the South Island.
All right, so moving on to something for the movie lovers, we have the Weta Workshop in beautiful Wellington. So Wellington is known as Wellywood. It is basically where we do movies here in New Zealand. And the Weta Studios are some of the special effects studios behind some of the biggest biggest blockbuster on the planet, such as Avatar, Lord of the Rings, some of the Marvel movies, and even Chappie. Which I really like and nobody did. Anyway, I really liked it. District 9 was really cool as well. So yeah, awesome. Anyway, so they do really awesome tours over there. Just even going to the Weta Caves itself, going into the small museum that they have. So the Weta Cave is basically the gift shop. You can do that for free, and then you can also do the tour if you want to. There's even a mini cinema where you can watch a behind the scene of how movie were made. Some of the movie was made, so it's pretty awesome for sure to visit that. Okay, next on our list, Laura.
So if you go to the very quirky town of Oamaru, there you'll find a very interesting sort of museum/art gallery called Steampunk HQ. It's definitely one that we recommend to go visit, no matter whether you're into steampunk, which is kind of like a subgenre of sci-fi, or not. They have very unique art pieces there that are all interactive, so you can go through various things, you can play crazy pianos, you can even go into this really weird sort of room. I can't remember how they call it, but it's something like the vortex room with crazy lights and mirrors. It's just a really different experience that is especially good to do on a rainy day when you're exploring the South Island.
All right, nice one. So Kiwi Lauren left us, and she says she loves the topic, but she has to run. She'll be back on the Patreon show. Yeah, that's one thing that we do for our Patreon subscribers. If you want to join us on Patreon, there's a link in the description of this video. It's dead cheap, and you get access to us through Facebook, where you can ask us all your questions to plan your trip. But you also get an extra hour of our live show every single week, which is pretty awesome. Adil wanted us to speak about the activities and mention if they're wheelchair accessible. So
I mentioned Zealandia is things
so
like
Kiwi Bird Encounter will be wheelchair accessible. Being able to go to some of the wineries, you probably will have to choose which winery you can go to, and to be able to do that. Same thing for the Geothermal Park, you probably will have to choose those. I probably wouldn't send you to Ulva Island on the wheelchair for sure. Eating pies, that is for everybody, my friend. That's pretty awesome. I think a lot of the brewery tours, it will kind of restrict you some of the access that some of the places you can go to, because I remember especially Monteith, there was quite a lot of stairs to go through.
Yeah.
When it comes to Weta Studio, do you know Weta Workshop? Do you know if this wheelchair accessible or not? From the top of your head?
I think it is, but again, not 100% sure. But I think it is. It is all on the same level. It's all flat. There's no going upstairs, downstairs. It's, as far as I know, it is.
Yeah. And Sherry is asking you, Laura, can you see albatross anywhere other than Dunedin and Kaikoura? I'd love to see some, but I'm not going near those places.
Yeah, so albatross is kind of like, you can see them around the South Island coast, especially around sort of like the lower southern end of the South Island. It's just about sort of getting out on the water. If you go on various boat tours, you may be lucky. We have seen them for instance, in Akaroa, which is near Christchurch. It's more like when Robin and I have seen them, it's more like just getting out on the water on the boat. And we have been surprised to just see them randomly in passing and stuff.
Like you're shopping at the supermarket and you're like, oh, it's an albatross.
You see birds when you're shopping at the supermarket.
Not really an albatross.
But not albatross. But yeah. So yeah, it's just if you know you're getting out on the boat, especially sort of starting from like the Christchurch area and down south, then there may be some areas where you'll be lucky to see some. I think. I say that in a way that's not like lucky because there's not that many, but you just usually you do spot like a lot of seabirds on these sort of tours where you're out, either whether it's scuba diving, fishing, scenic wildlife tours, that sort of thing. So hopefully you've got some boat tours on your itinerary, and hopefully you'll get to see some albatross, because they really are impressive birds once you get up close to them and you see how huge they are. They're pretty amazing.
All right, out of the last 5 things under $30 that we mentioned, so we are 10 right now. In those last 5, what was your favorite?
Okay, what did we have? We had this Steampunk HQ.
Yeah, that's the one which is still on screen. That's the one you remember, isn't it?
I got it, yeah.
So yes, there was Weta Workshop. There was the Zealandia Museum.
Oh,
I Zealandia.
I love Zealandia.
So Zealandia is taking the win.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think that it's so cool. It's like so easy to get to, like, especially considering it's in the capital of New Zealand, and just like the fact that it provides you such easy access, and also their museum there as well is really fascinating to learn about, like how New Zealand wildlife has evolved so isolated away from the rest of the world, and that's kind of why you get to, you learn how, for instance, there's so many birds that are flightless in New Zealand. They haven't been threatened by mammals and like predators on land, that sort of thing, except for other birds. So it's just really like, it sort of provides a lot of context for your trip traveling around New Zealand and gives you sort of a new perspective and
She agrees with you. She said, I can't wait to go to Zealand.
Yeah.
I have. I'm a bit ashamed of saying what's my favorite out of the last one that we mentioned.
Was it Weta?
No, that's actually the Kiwi Pies.
The Kiwi Pie. Oh gosh.
I just love me a good pie. It's just like,
yeah?
It's just a treat when you're on the road. I know.
Yeah. Oh gosh. Well, it is something you have to try, but you do have to try a good pie. There's a lot of duds out there. You got to go.
No. I was obviously in my mind. I was like really nice, good one.
The Fairly Bakery. Or there's a lot of good
the
bakeries.
Pork crackling on top and everything.
Especially,
like,
No.
No.
On the South Island, there's certainly some really good, like, there's people that put their heart and soul into their pies. So yeah.
I mean, a pig's heart in there. Pig's heart pie.
Potentially.
Yeah. You don't know sometimes what they put in pie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I know. It's just it's a bit of a shame, but yeah. Obviously, Weta Workshop would have been my close second. So I really do like movie making and this kind of thing. So I think it's
even
really
if
cool,
you're not into particularly any of the movies that they've worked on, if you're not into the Lord of the Rings, or you're not into,
which I'm not necessarily as big of a fan of the Lord of the Rings that you are, I'm still really into visiting Weta Workshop.
Yeah, like
just because I love their work on like District 9 and like those more like gritty sci-fi movies. That's the part I really do like.
And it's interesting to see how they do the props and the special effects and all the painting and all the artsy stuff they do there.
Yeah, and those movies that everybody thinks American, but it's done by a South African and with a New Zealand special effect team. I mean, how cool is that?
And they also now have Weta Unleashed, which is in Auckland. So if for some reason you're not going to Wellington on your New Zealand trip, you can just take a look at the one that they have in Auckland, and it's a very similar experience. You still learn a lot about the movie making process there as well, so that's another alternative.
Sherry said her go-to at the bakery is sausage rolls, but she has to try some pie. Obviously, you have to try some pie.
I do love a good sausage roll, I have to say. We found some pretty crazy sausage rolls in New Zealand, though, where they also have mashed potato in there. It's like a full meal. It's like you have sausage and mash wrapped up in pastry.
That is weird.
We have come across quite some interesting creative.
Yeah, I'm not voting for that as a winner. I can tell you that right now. Okay, so shall we do another batch of 5, Laura? You keen?
How about that? Yes.
All right.
Starting straight away. Let's go. So, another nice affordable activity that is well worth checking out is the Omaka Aviation Heritage Centre. So, what this is, some basically old warplanes from World War One and World War Two. There's like 2 separate exhibitions, but the way they display them are in these really like creative static scenes that have been actually, we were just speaking about Weta, they've actually been sort of created by the Weta Workshop and makes it look really realistic and just really interesting way to present sort of like museum sort of displays, but in a next level, like really amazing and unique way. So this is located in Blenheim, which is at the top of the South Island, and for a deal it is wheelchair accessible as well, so very easy to get around and have a look.
All right, so next on our list, we have doing an Art Deco tour around Napier. So the history of Napier is quite interesting. In 1931, there was a massive earthquake that destroyed most of the city. And after that, the city was rebuilt in, very characterful Art Deco architecture. So you can join the Art Deco Trust in Napier for a walking tour around the city. You'll be going, between all the different streets and all that, checking out a lot of buildings. And that will give you a little bit of a headset, and you will be able to hear your guide. So no matter how busy and noisy the streets are going to be, not really, it's Napier, but you'd still be able to hear very well your guide. So it's a really cool historical tour, something very different to do in New Zealand compared to like your classic nature kind of tours that you'll be able to do. There is a bit of history to be discovered in New Zealand, believe it or not, there is.
All right, next on our list for things to do for under $30 in New Zealand, we have Washpen Falls, which is an amazing hidden gem located in the Canterbury region, just a reasonable drive from Christchurch, more close to Methven. And this is a really cool, what seems to be just a walk to start with, like that's the best way to describe it, but there's much more to the experience than that. So they have like archaeological sites, some sort of like Maori settlement remains there, which is really interesting. They also have lots of caves, obviously the waterfalls, that's what it's named after, Washpen Falls. There's walking through various different forests and getting up to amazing viewpoints as well. And a really neat little thing that they have is this little lake where they have a little rowing boat, and you can get in the rowing boat and go for a row around the lake, which we've done exactly that ourselves, which you can check out the video on the channel of us at Washpen Falls if you want to see what we're going on about.
She forced me to row that boat on that damn photo. Anyway, moving on. Another great, very cheap thing to do in New Zealand is to actually try some of the local delicacies. So obviously trying the Kiwi Pies is a must-do in New Zealand, but there is a lot of other kind of small food items that you may want to try in the country. Manuka honey is one of them, and I'll get back to that in a minute. But LNP is a New Zealand soda. It's kind of a New Zealand lemonade. Whittaker's chocolate, obviously, it's kind of definitely worth trying for sure. Now, obviously, the iconic one is the Manuka honey. So if you happen to be nearby, have a look north. You can head to the Arataki Honey Visitor Center. It's actually really cool. It's really interactive. The kids are really going to love it. And if you are passing through Taupo and stopping by Huka Falls, and of course you are because everybody is, nearby there is the Huka Honey Hive, which is basically a really big gift shop, but there is a bit of an exhibition there, and it's definitely worth checking out if you do have the time to do so.
All right, another nice affordable thing to do, again, this time in Christchurch, actually in the city centre of Christchurch, is to experience the city and see the sights in a strange and unusual way, which is taking the HopOn, HopOff tram around the city centre. So yeah, just a fun way to experience Christchurch and ride its historic tramway. That is, the HopOn, HopOff tram is a really cool experience, and you can, obviously, as the name suggests, you can get off at each of the attractions around the way and spend more time in various places in Christchurch before catching the next tram. Very fun.
And just like that, we are halfway through.
Yeah.
Okay. So Sherry got really excited about the sausage roll with mash. This is wrong, Sherry. This is wrong. Stay away from it.
You should feel the weight of these things.
Oh,
it's like,
God.
they're so heavy.
I know.
They compacted into the sausage roll form, and then you've got mashed potato in there as well. It's like just holding this thing is like a good workout. You're losing weight as you eat.
Oh, you're definitely going to put on weight by eating it, though. Oh, my.
Yeah.
Oh, my. All right. Shall we do another 5, Laura?
How about it?
Okay.
Yes.
Do you want to get us started?
Of course. All right, another really nice, affordable activity to do. This time going to there is this attraction in Auckland as well as in Queenstown, and that is going to an ice bar. So yeah, in Queenstown you have 2 different options when you go to check out these ice bars, which is basically the point of this attraction is they do sort of ice sculptures around in a bar setting. Usually you get 1 drink sort of included in the experience, and then you have to pay for the rest of the drinks after that if you want to stay there. But they suit you up in a really nice, warm, cozy coat or jacket, and then enjoy your time drinking in a giant freezer. It's pretty much
it. It's sold. Okay, moving on.
That's what it's like. You're just in a giant freezer. And then, but surrounded by some really cool artwork, frozen ice sculptures. But yeah, it's definitely one of the highlights of New Zealand. It's not really, but it's just a fun thing to do for quite cheap experience. So yeah, check it out in Queenstown or Auckland.
All right, so if you want to freeze because of the wind and sometimes the rain, you may want to go up Port Hill on the Christchurch Gondola. No, jokes aside, you'll be able to get some amazing views up there by taking the Christchurch Gondola. You'll be able to see, obviously, all Port Hills, the Canterbury Plain, as well as beautiful Littleton Harbour. So if you want to do something a little bit different, something with more views, more grandiose kind of feel of New Zealand, and you are in Christchurch, that is one of the most accessible thing to do, and it's pretty cool. It's just really fun, and in my personal opinion is better than getting stuck into a freezer with a bit of booze.
And speaking of other experiences that are better than being in a freezer, is the Auckland Museum. So yeah, the Auckland Museum is one of the sort of largest museums in the country. It has lots of different aspects to it. So they have the sort of war memorial side of things where you can learn more about New Zealand's role in the various world wars, but also you can check out some natural history, some Maori history as well. So there's really a lot to explore there. However, it isn't free like actually some of the museums are around the rest of the country, but there are but it is it does have an entry fee for visitors, which is still under $30, so it's quite affordable.
All right, so another great thing to do when traveling around New Zealand, and I feel like I have all the ones to do with food, is to actually try a bunch of different New Zealand cheeses. So New Zealand cheeses are actually quite famous, and you'll be able to make this experience your own, right? There are a couple of cheese factories that you can visit in New Zealand, but they're usually like very small. But what you can do is to literally buy yourself a cheese platter from a local supermarket and be able to have a selection of cheeses that are made in New Zealand. So some brands like Kapiti or Whitestone are absolutely exceptional. So just pack a bunch of cheeses and actually have a little bit of a picnic somewhere, and or just along one of your walk, and just kind of like deluxify your next hike with a bit of a New Zealand cheese platter, paired maybe with some of the bottle of wine that, because you were drunk, you were coerced to buy when you were doing your Marlborough tastings over there that we talked about a little bit earlier. That's a great way to kind of experience New Zealand's cuisine per se.
Okay, and another really fun experience to have for under $30. Robin, stop laughing on the side. It's quite a unique experience as well. And this is the Hooker Prom Park, which is located in Taupo. This is a really good family-friendly activity. And the reason why this place can exist is basically the geothermal water heats up so that they can farm prawns. Robin's laughing beside me and distracting me. Anyway, so yeah, so it's really interesting to learn about... Robin, you gotta stop laughing. Yeah. Let me do my time talking about the Hooker Prom Park. All right? So, the Hooker Prom Park. So yeah, you can learn about basically farming the prawns there, but also they have these really fun like activity areas where you can try to hook your own prawn, which is really, really the reason Robin's laughing is because we actually tried to do this ourselves, and we do have a video on the channel.
They don't even have prawns anymore.
You can, but yeah,
you can't do that anymore. There's no prawns.
I know, but maybe one day there will be.
No. All right, no
They have
prawns.
an activity centre there where you
Yes.
can go and do, like, there's lots of different experiences you can do. It's more a family-friendly thing.
Yeah, it's great to do with kids. It is. I'm just in a joyful mood today. That's just it. That's just it. Sherry says she's going to have a cheese platter for dinner one night now, which is that's pretty awesome. All right, so just like that, we are 2/3 in. We're definitely taking this video seriously. I really like that. We're definitely not cracking up every 2 seconds. It's just that's what happens when you try to force us to have more sleep, people. It's just we get delirious. We shouldn't, this daylight saving stuff is not working for us.
Perhaps that is the reason.
All right, so around the last 10 that we just mentioned right now, do you have a bit of a favorite out of everything that we just mentioned?
I mean, the cheese...
I mean, mine is eating cheese, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the cheese stuff sounds pretty good.
Why are we so ravenous? I told you guys that's technically our lunch break right now because that's like so early.
What else do we have?
I'll do it for you. We have some museums, obviously. We have Port Hills. We obviously getting locked into a freezer. You do tend to love doing that.
Yeah,
you
yeah.
do tend to really enjoy that.
I think like the Auckland Museum is pretty cool. It's definitely worth a visit. Like there's a lot to see there, so that's definitely one of the highlights on that list for me.
My highlight is obviously Washpen Falls. I think it's kind of like one of my favorite my favorite hidden gems in the country.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
absolutely phenomenal. We didn't really know what to expect when we got there, and it was really cool. And we got to see like a bird going to feed his babies as well. Its babies,
There was
and we loved it.
so
we
much
just absolutely
happening
loved it.
there.
Yeah. And then you whipped me into shape, making me row for you around that damn lake. It was fun. That was just silly and fun. Yeah. No, I think I really enjoyed that one. So yeah.
I agree. That was really cool.
Yeah,
and it was really cheap as well. Like when we visited last, it was 10 New Zealand dollars each. I don't know how much it is now, but I don't think the price would have gone up that much. So yeah, it's very cheap for.
It's definitely worth doing.
Like you can spend the whole day doing lots of different stuff there. Yeah.
Sadly for you, Adil, this is not wheelchair accessible. It is quite rugged terrain and rugged hike, and you kind of, it's a good workout for the legs. That's all I'm going to say. It's a pretty good workout, so sadly it wouldn't be wheelchair accessible. I know you're asking for most of them, so I thought I'll preempt that and just go with that. Okay. So, should we do another 5, Laura? Are you in that mood? Are you in like that serious mood of doing it so seriously?
Yes.
All right, let's go for another 5 then.
Okay. Next up on the list is to visit one of the many farm parks that there are around New Zealand. So New Zealand's kind of famous for its sheep population. It's kind of like the big thing here, but it also has a huge dairy industry as well. There's a lot of people that have lifestyle farms, and just, seeing farm animals is kind of cool. So yeah, there are a lot of sort of tourist farm parks that you can go and visit. And one, for example, would be the Bulls Wool Farm Park, which is located near Karangahaki Gorge, which is in the North Island between the Waikato and Coromandel region. And yeah, it's always good to go when it's lambing season because you go and get to feed the baby lambs, and that's so cute. So yeah, that's a nice affordable activity you can do in New Zealand.
Now, when it comes down to big cities in New Zealand, it's actually quite hard to find really affordable things to do. Laura mentioned already the Auckland War Memorial Museum, which is one of those. And if you happen to be in Wellington, obviously there is a Te Papa Museum, which is free, so it doesn't make this list, as all the items in this list have to be paid. And in Wellington, we have the cable car. So the world famous Wellington Cable Car is actually really unique. So first up, it only costs about $10 to take it. And it will literally take you from like the bustling streets of Wellington all the way to the top of a beautiful hill. There is a free museum about the cable car, which is quite cool as well. But it takes you all the way to the Wellington Botanic Garden. So it's kind of really cool how that very short ride, like you literally just going up a hill, that very short rides will take you from like the epicenter of a capital city to like the peacefulness of a botanic garden. And it's just a striking contrast. The view from on top as well are actually pretty awesome. You can see the whole basin, the whole harbor, as well as the whole city. It's quite a fun little ride, and it's definitely worth doing in my personal opinion.
Okay, so it's my turn to talk about some food now, which you can do obviously for very cheap in New Zealand, which is have some fish and chips. So fish and chips is kind of like the thing that New Zealand is really iconic for in terms of its food scene. And that's mainly because there's so much coastline around New Zealand that there's a lot of easy access to fresh fish to make your fresh fish and chips, which is usually served. The fish is usually served battered, and then you get fried, basically fries, but it's kind of called fish and chips in New Zealand. And yeah, so definitely worth trying when you're in a coastal town in the country and trying that iconic dish that New Zealand is known for.
All right, so next on the list is something very quirky that pretty much nobody is going to be doing. I just want to give them a shout out right here. So if you happen to travel down the west coast of the South Island of New Zealand and stop by the beautiful little township of Rifton, which basically was bustling and quite thriving back in the days when mining was a big thing on the South Island of New Zealand. In fact, this is the town that was the first one to have a street light actually in the country, which is quite cool. You can see that there. But you can check out the Bearded Miners. It's a gold coin donation to go there, and yeah, you'll be able to talk with some old miners that used to mine, and you can ask them questions. They can show you a few things around, like like how to check some opals in water. Just a lot of cool little thing. There's gold a bit of gold panning. There is a bit of a replica of a bit of a village. It's kind of a really cool place to hang out and learn more about these actually quite formative years of New Zealand and its economy when it comes down to the South Island of New Zealand and the mining areas.
Okay, another quirky attraction you can go visit is the National Trout Centre, or the Tongariro National Trout Centre, should I say, which is located just outside of the town of Turangi, which is in the North Island. But this place, although the trout aspect is quite interesting, you can see the trout hatchery there. You can see how huge these fish get, and it's really like the area is known for its trout fishing. That's kind of why the trout centre's here. But you can also do various different walks to see bird wildlife. They have a creche for blue duck, which is a native type of duck in New Zealand, which is really interesting to see as well. They do conservation efforts there to learn more about this unique duck species, which has little lips to sort of suck up all the insects and stuff off rocks and things. They're really quite weird. And also, yeah, they like whitewater rafting, so that's pretty cool. You can see them like actually riding the rapids down various rivers in New Zealand. So it's really interesting to see that, and to see the different sort of wildlife aspects of the National Trout Centre.
All right, so next up on the list, we have the buried village of Te Wairoa. Pardon my pronunciation. So, in 1886, Mount Tararoira, again, pardon my pronunciation, erupted and buried a village. And, you can see some of the remnants of that during a really cool and interesting and very educational tour in Rotoea. There is obviously a bit of a section which is outdoor, and there is an indoor section which is like a bit of a museum and geothermal waterfall trail. So it's definitely worth spending some time if you do have the extra time in Rotoea. I want to do something a little more quirky and a little bit more different.
We're now going to head to Dunedin to an interesting activity that you can do, which is a guided tour of the Ulveston Historic Home. So this is one of the oldest sort of mansions, large homes in the Dunedin area that was sort of built during its thriving years when it was established as throughout the gold mining era in the Otago region of New Zealand. And yeah, you just get to see sort of like what these old homes used to look like and all their interesting trinkets and artwork. And yeah, it's just a really interesting alternative experience. Rather than just going to museums all the time, you can sort of see what an old sort of pioneer's home used to look like in New Zealand.
All right, so in New Zealand, you can visit a lot of wineries, you can visit a lot of breweries, and we mentioned both of those already in this list. But the other thing that you can visit are distilleries where spirits are made. Not the woo spirits, the spirit glue glue glue. Yes, that's right. I can do onomatopoeias as well. All right, so one of the best distilleries to visit is located in Takaka, which is in Golden Bay. If you want to picture that, it is basically a little bit at the west of the Abel Tasman National Park, and it is called the Dancing Sand Distillery, and you'll be able to do a bit of an in-depth tours on how they make all their spirits, as well as a bit of a tasting too. Just make sure that you have your own designated driver.
Okay, this is another activity that is very affordable to do in Christchurch, which is going to the Christchurch Adventure Park. So it is, it's very cheap to first take the chairlift up to the area, so you can get some good views on your way up, and then once you arrive to the top of the chairlift, you can do various walks, which of course are free after that, so that keeps the prices down. But if you happen to be traveling around New Zealand with your own mountain bike, that sort of thing, then you can do some of the mountain bike trails that are also available up there, and otherwise you can just sit and relax and have a coffee at the cafe that's also located in the very high altitude area, which is pretty cool to spend the day.
All right, and lastly, to round up our list of 30 things to do under $30 in New Zealand, there are many cities that will allow you to escape from the city to an island for only about $30. So if you are stuck in Christchurch, you can head from the little harbour of Littleton to Quail Island, which is a really cool little walk to do. If you are in Wellington, you can go to Matthew Somers Islands, and if you are in Auckland, you can head to Rangitoto Islands. So all of those little islands are quite easy to access, and they're around the $30 mark, with the Auckland one being a little above that, but you know, it's still stake around this. So all of the islands have their own little unique things to visit, but most of them are kind of areas where you can do I was about to say hike, but they mostly walk. They're very easy kind of walk, family-friendly walks. So they're great ways for you to kind of escape the cities for, you know, not too much without breaking the bank. All right, Laura, I think that we're done with all of those. There is much more on nzpocketguide.com for sure. We do have a lot of budget activity listed for every area that you're going to be visiting.
Cool. Back on the live chat, we have Adil saying, what's going to be New Zealand Pocket Guide's theme for next week?
The travel show next week. So the Patreons have voted, and it's going to be something to do with hiking. I haven't prepared it, or I haven't done any of the theme just today. I am a bit behind, I'll be honest with you, on those, but I'm going to schedule a couple, and they're probably going to be like our favorite hike on the northern end, and then the week after our favorite hike on the southern end, something like that. Everybody was really keen on hiking. And there is also going to be somewhere within the mix also some filming locations, so some of the most famous filming locations, because that's again what the Patreons have been voting for, or did vote for. Well, just say the thing.
That's what our Patreons voted for.
What she says.
If you want to contribute to what we discuss here on nzpocketguide.com, you can be one of our Patrons as well. So just for as little as a coffee per month.
Oh, that analogy.
Yes, that one. Yeah, you could. We have lots of perks and benefits that you can check out. We do have a link in the description. So yeah, lots of perks to enjoying good times with us here at NZ Pocket Guide.
All right, so this is slowly going to wrap up our live show. Thank you so much for all the questions that you guys sent. I mean, we do appreciate, we had between 3 and 6 viewers throughout the morning. So, we know we're not making a show for 1 million people, but we did enjoy each and every one of you that pops in and asks us your questions. Feel free to give it a share, give it a like, all these kind of good things. And we'll see you back next week at exactly the same time, which is 8 a.m. New Zealand time. Despite that nonsensical daylight saving things that, in my opinion, should never happen. This is absolute nonsense. That put us out of whack. We were way too pumped today. We were even laughing at someone wanting to be locked in the fridge for $30.
Yeah.
You know, I love paying $30 to be locked in the fridge. It's great.
Hey, I've done it. I have paid that $30 to do it.
Yeah. Well, you're English and you were told in this area there was booze. You'd pay any kind of money and you'd be locked in any kind of place for that. All right, Anthony, say what? I think you want to say stay safe,
but I'm here until the end. Thanks, Anthony. We know what you mean. Thanks for joining us, guys, and we will see you next week for the next New Zealand Pocket Guide, NZ Pocket Guide travel show.
NZ Travel Show.
NZ Travel Show.
We've done more than 200 of those.
It's one of those days. Anyway, see you next week, guys. Hope there's more of you to join us, and we will have another awesome show waiting for you. See ya.